Today's Monday, it's the 3rd of July 2023, and I'm out on my own today, just about to catch a bus towards Palma. I'm not actually going to go into Palma, at least not to begin with. Anita's already gone to Palma, so she went earlier on to meet Yvonne. She's gone shopping. I've got some chores to do. One of the things I need to do is collect a package. So while we were away, the post came, and obviously we were away in Ibiza, and they just left a docket to say that there was a package to collect, and we've got about 15 days to do it, so plenty of time, so hopefully that will all work, and I'll be able to collect my package later on this morning. Well, I've got off the bus a little bit earlier just to stop off by Son Dureta. I've been meaning to do this for quite a time now. Son Dureta used to be the main hospital for the Balearic Islands. It's the National Health Hospital. It's a big hospital, but it closed down quite a long time ago. The plan then was just to convert it into a residential home with some for the elderly, connect it to the the castle, Belvedere Castle on the hill over there, make some nice walkways, but that was shelved eventually. During the pandemic, it was where we had our vaccinations. They didn't actually use the hospital. They set up tents on the outside, and we all had to go there. Well, some of us had to go there. There was various stations. This was one of the main ones, though, for our vaccinations and the repeat vaccinations. So eventually they decided that it was going to be far too much work to renovate the existing building, and they've now decided to just tear the thing down and start again, rebuild it. The idea is somewhat similar, but I think it's going to be more of a medical centre as well as a place for the elderly. So I think some of the original plans have changed quite considerably. So I wanted to have a look, see how the progress was being made. We saw, as we've been driving by on the buses, that all the tents that were used for the vaccination, they were taken away some time ago, and then the heavy gears come in, and they can see now that all the heavy machinery is there ready to tear this building down. It's been a part of our lives for many years. Our youngest daughter was born at the hospital, not in this particular building, but in a relatively new maternity block which was outside. So they put the green fencing up so you can't see really what's going on. Well, you can actually, I don't know if you can with the camera, but lots of building work going on out there. And I'm just going to walk around the back, and we'll have a look to see what's going on down there. Before I do that, one of the consequences of closing the hospital was that this commercial centre was built. It's got a big Mercadona, it's got bars and restaurants, and supposedly shops and all the other things that might go in a commercial centre. But of course, when the hospital closed down, there was not really the call for such a centre, so it's probably an underused centre. Across the road was one of the car parks that they used for the hospital, and that's gained a new lease of life as a car park for rent-a-cars. So absolutely packed with rent-a-cars, which I suppose in the next few weeks are going to be dotted around the island somewhere. And similarly down here there was a great set of cafes, bars that were always busy. Staff from the hospital would come, people visiting the hospital would call into the bars, and it was really quite a busy area. That's changed quite a lot now. Still quite a lot of locals around here, and it is a residential area, so it's not had such a great impact, I suppose. Just walking down this next entrance we're coming to was the accident and emergency. So if you've got an emergency, you used to have to drive up there, and they would admit you, and luckily I've only had to do that a couple of times. I think on a couple of occasions it's actually been for me. Managed to survive the day. The road we're going down now is called Anglican. Very hot in the sun. It's coming up to 11 o'clock. As we walk down just a little bit further, come to what really would have been the main entrance to the hospital, and there'd be a guard on duty allowing you in. If you got a car, most people couldn't go in, but if you came in on foot. And so that's the main hospital up there. And I must have slipped my tongue many times and referred to it as a hotel. Nice balconies overlooking the city, sea views from higher up. Yes, it's a little bit like a hotel. So now it's a building site or a wrecking site, and it'll be interesting to see all of that as it comes down. And over here, which is where the maternity block was and the outpatients block, they were knocked down some time ago. The outpatients block, if anyone remembers, it was a green building and really probably was ready to be knocked down. The maternity block, though, was relatively new, and I would have thought they could have made good use of that. Well, they all went some time ago and it was just levelled and it was left flat. But that's where much of the work is going on now, and they are digging a big hole, which I don't think we're going to be able to see from the road. But as you're going past on the bus, you're that little bit higher up, and you can see what's going on. It's one of the bus stops. So this would be the main bus stop for Son Dureta if you were coming by bus. Let's have a look. See what I can see through here. It's not exactly a lot of work going on. Just a quick peek through the hole in the fence there, and you just see barriers and mounds of earth. But there is down there, further along, a very big hole. So what I will do is I'll keep coming down and just videoing different parts of it as the progress comes and goes. I just think it's a good piece of local history that if somebody doesn't record it, people will forget. Oh, here's a fence where we can actually see through. So you can see huge amounts of work going on here, but perhaps not at this very moment. Must be very dusty for the people who are working in the area. And it's going to be called the Sanitary Park Sanitary, and it's going to be the new Son Dureta, 82,000, nearly 83,000 square meters, and space for 540 chronic patients, so sort of a recuperation area, a new health centre, and they're spending 178 million euros on it. It's going to take 36 months, so watch this space for the next 3 years. And there's one of the big holes in the ground I was telling you about. Baleares Castle in the distance, and the Son Dureta hospital as it was. Right, I'm eventually going to make my way to the post office, but I've got a little walk down. If I see anything interesting to point out, I'll put the video back on, but for the moment you can have a rest from this, and I'll walk out into the midday sun. Neither Anita or I are regular churchgoers, but I just thought I should walk up here just to show you the Anglican church. We do try to support the Anglican church when they have various functions on, and I suppose we do go to the occasional service, Remembrance Day being one of them. Occasionally I like to sing a Christmas carol or two, and so we do come from time to time. Next to it, on the right hand side, there is a garden of remembrance. I have made other videos at the church for the Garden of Remembrance and for their open days, and if you have a look through the list somewhere, I'm sure there's one there. Just search for the Anglican church. They do have a bazaar, and it's usually one of the first ones. It takes place in November, so just around the corner really. Anyway, I'm going to carry on my little walk and well, see what comes up next. Another reason for my walk today was to come down and video this hotel, which I suppose doesn't really look very much from the rear, except they're doing some building work. And when I get round to the front, you'll probably recognise why. The hotel itself is called Son Artmadams. It's in Son Artmadams, so it's a little bit of a play on words. And they do from time to time hold exhibitions of different artists. And when you see the front of the hotel, you'll see why it's so special. And there it is. There's the front of the hotel, Son Artmadams. And as you can see, it's well, I think quite beautifully painted. Other people might have different opinions, and art is like that, isn't it? People have different opinions of what they think is good and what is bad in art. But I particularly like that. I think it's very colourful, and it's very, very typical of Mallorca, following in the traditions of artists like Miro, who set up his studio here. And when this was originally created, there was a big kerfuffle with the local council, who told them they've got to paint it all out, got to paint over it. Well, they haven't. I'm not sure what the situation is now with the council, whether they say yes or no. We've recently had a change of government, and so maybe a change of heart. But I think this is really quite an impressive thing to have here in Palma, and makes a really eye-catching view as you walk past. It's not on the main road at the front of by the sea. This is on the road that goes at the back. It's behind that. But if you're on a bus, you're very likely to go past it, and it really does stand out. My own feelings are it actually looks better than the last time we came out. I don't know if it's just because it's a sunny day and it just looks better in the sun, or whether they've actually done some more work on it, but I think it looks really splendid today. Clear blue skies above, and that's what you need in Mallorca to show off something like this. I'm going to continue my walk now, and so this road running parallel to the Paseo Maritimo. Paseo Maritimo very much under construction at the moment, and so nice to be a little bit away from it. And just to put you in a bit of perspective of where we are, there's the building next to the block of flats in front of me on the left is the auditorium, which is the main theatre here in Majorca, where they have all the big concerts, where the orchestra plays, where Anita goes to, and where the big ballet companies come to. And seems to have a busy schedule over the next few months, going right into 2024. So it's always been very successful. Schools are on holiday now, so parks and the beach in particular are going to be places for the children to gravitate towards. They've got their holidays now right through till early September. Just along this road though, you come across occasionally some splendid buildings, and this is one that catches my eye. This is right next to the auditorium, which is a relatively modern building. It appears to have an entrance at the back. I don't think I've ever seen it in use. But then whenever we go to the auditorium, we use the entrance at the front. So this is the big auditorium. And then this is like an island in front of us. Sounds like they're rehearsing something up there. So before some show that's coming up, I suppose. Some of the things that they've got on. Aladdin, Swan Lake I can see there. Anita might want to go to that if we're on the island. Greece. Most of these will be in Spanish, of course, though. So. Just going to walk around this way. Just like to get into some shady area. This particular area's got lots of bars, cafes, restaurants. Quite a big Mercadona across the road there, and just in the distance Fontana, which is a residential home for the elderly. Some of the Leos used to go there after school, just really to chat with the people who are living there, perhaps play cards or dominoes with them, and just really give them a little bit of younger life to chat to. And the children certainly enjoyed it, and I'm sure the adults did too. Mercadona, I don't think I've ever actually been in. Because there's a problem with parking on the Paseo Maritimo, a new car park, well, it's not a new one, it's an old car park, has been reopened, which is just behind here, much to the annoyance of the people who live in these apartments, because they had peace and quiet. Now people are opening and closing doors, and they've not got peace and quiet. It always used to be a car park. I used it a lot in the past, but now it's open again. In the meantime, it was actually left vacant, derelict and overgrown, so I would have thought they were reasonably happy about that. This is not an area that I would normally walk around, so I'm not so familiar. We obviously drive through it. That's the tourist bus. The tourist bus will turn right here, because the road just to the right will take you up to Belvedere Castle. If you're visiting Palma, then I suppose that's one of the places you should go to. It's an interesting castle. It's got a museum, and it's got spectacular views over the city. One of the places we used to go quite often, we have not been for quite a while, is this Japanese restaurant called Nagoya, and it's a restaurant with a conveyor belt, or a couple of conveyor belts, and the food just keeps going along the conveyor belt, and you just take it off as you like it, as you like. And great choice of all sorts of different things there. So you've got all the different sorts of sushi, but lots of different things. And the price is just so amazing. In the middle of the day, it's the $12.95. That's Monday to Thursday. Friday. In the evenings it's $13.95, children $6.95, so it's a really cheap meal, and you've got as much food as you want. And certainly the last time I was there, it was quite good quality. Lots of construction work going on. Again, that wouldn't normally have been allowed before the pandemic. All construction work would have stopped during the season, at least the major construction work, but rules seem to have changed. So, tapas restaurant. Indian tandoori restaurant. Now, this is one we haven't tried either. they've got a menu of the day, daytime menu, Monday to Friday, $10.95, and that's a starter, main course, and drinks included. Their nighttime menu is $12.95, and that's again a starter, a main course, an ice cream or coffee. $12.95. So there are places that are quite reasonable. So places that are very expensive. For the most part, if you're going to eat off a menu, and then you're probably going to spend about 30-35 euros in an average sort of restaurant. If you go upmarket, then the sky is the limit, quite literally, and drinks likewise. The petrol stations. This one's associated with Carrefour, Carrefour being one of the big supermarkets. But Carrefour doesn't actually have any of its own petrol stations that I know of on the islands. On the mainland it's quite common, and even when we were in Ibiza I did notice a Carrefour petrol station, but not here. So some of the other restaurants, this is Vespa, and they've actually gone in association with Carrefour. It's a little Carrefour Express, and you get 4% discount with your Carrefour card. I suppose it doesn't really apply to tourists, but for us who live here, we get a discount when we buy the petrol by showing our shopping card. It doesn't actually reduce the price of the petrol at the pump. It does give you a check every 2 or 3 months. Anita gets a check through the post, and then she swiftly disappears and buys some bottles of wine. Certainly this area of Palma used to be a no-go area for the students, the boarding students at the school I used to teach at. It used to be a very seedy area. I'm not sure what it's like now, so that's a very long time ago, more than 20 years ago, probably more than 30 years ago actually. But this area was very much off limits to the students. Certainly been a lot of work gone on here, a lot of new building, and as everywhere they're trying to take it up market a little bit. I'm very busy. And the purpose of my walk today is actually to go to the post office. Our local post offices along the road from here. It's just trying to get to it by public transport is actually car trying to run us over there. She thought she was in the right, and we knew we were in the right. So. It's nice to walk along a street like this because it's got lots of shade. The Chinese restaurant here is closed down. I think in years gone by that used to be owned by parents from school. Still lots of graffiti. We do have a new government, and very high on their priorities is to get rid of the graffiti. So watch this space and see what happens. Another little supermarket here, Roski, usually has good prices. So that's one that will be used by the locals. And on this side, on the left, very nice hotel, is the Melia, it's the Grand Melia Victoria. This is where we were a few weeks ago when we came to do the shoot for ITV with Gok Wan. And so we spent an afternoon there. That was really quite something special. It's a very nice hotel, and never stayed in it, but it looks very nice in the foyer and bar area. The terrace is lovely, and actually from the terrace you couldn't even see the fact that there was all the work going on down below on the Paseo Maritimo. It's also where in years gone by we have actually had a graduation ceremony there. I think it was only a one-off, but it's there. And then it looks to me as though the places that used to be very seedy were on that side, and I think they've gone. Really brightly coloured building across the road. Not sure what that is. This is the top end of the Melia Victoria, the Grand Melia Victoria. And then this little square here used to buzz with activity. 30 years ago, it was really buzzing. We used to come here occasionally, and I mean occasionally, sort of 2 o'clock in the morning, and it would be buzzing with young people having a great time, drinking water or Coca-Cola, very little excess alcohol drinking, and one of the highlights of this place was this sort of grey building which looks really like nothing. This grey part here was actually the entrance to Tito's. And Tito's used to be like the top nightclub in Mallorca, probably in the Mediterranean, where some of the greatest acts from all around the world used to come and perform. It's now undergoing a renovation. It's due to open in about a month's time, and it's going to be called Leo, and it's going to be quite a dining experience and a show experience. And it doesn't look very much from this side. I'm not sure what it looks like from the bottom. I haven't been there for a while, so we'll have to go back down there. But I am told by looking in the newspaper that it's going to cost you something like 200 euros a head to dine there. That's sort of the starting price. So I probably won't be doing a food video from Leo's unless I get an invitation. Anybody out there? You never know. So the aim of my walk is just down the road there. It's on the other side, but I'm not going to cross over because that would mean walking in the sun. And all along here, it used to have lots of little bars like this, and would really be an in place to be 30, 40 years ago. some of the area has been renovated. Much of it still has a way to go. And Nick was pointing out to me in Ibiza the electrics. The building across the road there, you can see all the wiring just on the wall. And yeah, that probably used to be some covering over it, but in the building next door, the wiring is totally exposed. And that's how it always has been. If you use your imagination, some of the buildings along here are quite amazing buildings. That one, which really nice looking building. It's probably derelict. Certainly isn't a shop anymore. Or possibly it's overtaken with squatters, who are a problem in Mallorca and have been for many years. In a similar way that to the UK, there's squatters seem to get some sort of a right once they get into your property. It can be very difficult to get them out. It can take years and years if you get them out at all. Well, one of the new government's main objectives is to get rid of squatting, or to cut it down or do something about it. So again, watch this space. If I hear anything, I'll let you know. I've got a friend who lives in an apartment in Palma, and a lady died in the apartment and had no very close relatives, and someone in the block knew this and invited their friends to go and stay in her apartment. And they've been there for years. The administrators of the block have tried to get them out. Lots of people tried to get them out with no success whatsoever. They seem to be stuck there. They've been taken to court and they're still there. Well, there's the post office. Hopefully I've arrived before they close. It's 11:45. I should have plenty of time. I've just got to get across this road now and see if my package has arrived. Well, that was quite a wait. I think I must have been in there at least half an hour, but eventually I did get my package, so here it is. Let's have a look to see what's in there next. Anyway, carry on my travels, and if I see anything interesting, I'll put the camera back on. Bye for now.